Hi there, this is Andy from DakkaDesign, and welcome to the first video in what's going to be a series of tutorials looking at completely modelling, texturing and animating a really nice version of the Babylon 5 Omega class destroyer. The tutorial's aimed at beginners, so if you've got no idea how to start modelling something like this, then this is a tutorial for you. Also, some of you veteran guys out there who love doing modelling, but are perhaps not quite as good on the texturing and unwrapping side of things, then hopefully you guys will get something from this as well. As we go through, there will be no editing of any kind, so there will be mistakes. The idea is just to let you guys see what mistakes I make as well, and also how I fix those mistakes, and sort of hopefully give you an insight into the thought process that goes behind doing a project like this. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to get some reference images into Max, and we're going to set Max up for the rest of the tutorial as well. The tutorial, as you can see, I'm using Max 2011. The tutorial, you can do this in older versions of Max as well. It's equally applicable. You just may notice that there's sort of slight differences in the Max interface as we go along, but none of the techniques that I'm using are specific to 2011. It's all, as I say, equally applicable across multiple versions of Max. Okay, so reference image. I've already gone out and sort of downloaded some images that I thought might be quite useful. I've got some nice sort of orthographic views, top and side, and also front of the spin section. And I've also found some other images of the ship itself. So this image looks like it's a shot from the actual show itself. And as you can see, it's quite low poly. And actually, this is similar to what we're going to aim for. I did find some other images that are of really nice kind of high poly versions of the ship. This is a version I found called the Medusa, which is it's really nicely detailed, but it's not what we're going to go for in this tutorial. As I said, aiming this tutorial at beginners, but these kind of images can help you get inspiration for how you're going to do details and things like that, so that's why I've downloaded them. What we want to do is get these references actually into Max so that we can use them as a basis for our model. So what I need to do is create a couple of planes to map these images onto. So if I mouse over, you can see that the dimension is 1280 by 500. So what we want to do is get a plane from over here and just drag it out into the screen like that. And we're going to make it 500 high and 1280 width, and there you can see we've got our plane. And then what I want to do is just turn angle snaps on here and use the rotate tool. I'm going to hold down shift and rotate that by 90 degrees, which gives me a copy of that plane. And then what I want to do is just use the align tool, so that's Alt A, and just use the align tool. And what I want to do is just move it in its Z axis to begin with, and we're going to use the minimum of the maximum of the current object to the minimum of the target object, and you can see that slides it right to the bottom. What we want to do then is apply, and then this is our X axis going that way, so we want to go via our X axis and just leave the settings the same and hit OK. And as you can see, I've got two planes there. Let me just hit Alt W to maximize that view. Let me just press G as well. I'm going to get rid of this grid. So as you can see there, we've got two planes which we can start mapping our reference images onto. So I'm going to press M for the material editor, and this is the new slate material editor that's in Max 2011. Your material editor may look different from this. So we want a standard material, and we're just going to double click on that, and we're going to call this ref side. And what we want to do is click this button here next to the diffuse color slot, select bitmap, and we want to go to our desktop, find our folder with our reference in it, and this is going to be the side image we're going to map in there. The other thing we want to do is click this, which is show in viewport, and then we want to drag that material onto our plane. And as you can see there we've got our nice reference image mapped on. Then what we want to do is drag another standard material. Let's call this ref top. Double click, click on the diffuse slot, bitmap, and we're going to use the top in this case, show in viewport, and drag that onto our plane. So there we've got our two sort of main reference images there. What I also want, I'll press M for a second to get rid of that. What I also want to do is create another smaller plane here. So I'm going to go into the front viewport, hit F3 to get wireframe mode, just so we can see those two planes. And then we want another plane again, drag that out like that. And this time we want it to be 476 by 167. Okay, so 476 by 167, and let's press the P, and that will take us back to perspective mode. F3 back into smooth and highlight mode, and then let's go back into our material editor, get another standard material, click on that, and this is going to be ref spin section, or ref spin will do fine. And we want to go into the diffuse slot, get a bitmap, and we've got an image for that as well. Make it visible in the viewport and drag it onto that plane. Boom. Now what we want to do is use the align tool, and this time in the X axis we want center to center, apply that, and in the Y axis we want minimum to maximum, and hit OK. And then what we want to do, and this bit's a little bit rough, but we basically want to drag that up until it's kind of in line with the ship there. Brilliant. So there we go, we've got our reference images. Another small piece of setup we want to do is if I just quickly render this using the little teapot button there, you can see that rendered using scanline, and it's okay, but it's quite flat. What we want to do is set max up so that we can get nice work in progress renders as we work. If you go on to any of the sort of 3D work in progress forum sites, maybe like Sci-Fi Meshes, you'll see all the time work in progress ships, and they're rendered using nice sort of clay renders. Well, we're going to set up something similar. We're going to do that with Mental Ray. So I click on this render setup dialog box and scroll right to the bottom and go to assign render, and choose the Mental Ray render, and we want to go up to here to an indirect illumination. Make sure final gather is enabled, and in this version of Max we want to set the presets to high, and the main thing that does here is sets the rays per final gather point to 500. That's what we want. Close that, render again. Now you can see this takes a little bit longer to render, and it's using the Mental Ray render to do that. But once it's done, you should see that doesn't look quite as flat. It's got some shading. Now it doesn't make much difference when all we have is our reference images, but it will make a big difference once we start to model. So happy with that. So that's us set up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to save that here, and in the next video we will look at actually starting to model the ship. And in the next video we're going to build basically a really low detail kind of scaffolding, just so we can block out the volume of the ship and kind of work out what goes where. So any comments or criticisms or questions, give me a shout on DakkaDesign.com. Thanks very much for watching, and look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.